Hi, I hope I'm live. I think I am. How are you? This is Carol from Carol's Creative Corner, and I hope it's a Tuesday. You got through Monday. Monday is the toughest day of a work week, I know. And for those of you where every day is Saturday, I hope you're able to tune in and watch. I'm going to just show you today a watercolor technique, a very easy watercolor technique using the Rooted in Nature stamp set. And we'll make a card, which I will show you here. We're going to make this card, and I'll put it down on my screen when I flip it over. But this is the card we're going to make, and this is using a watercolor technique I'm going to show you how to do. I just wanted to let you know too that before I flip over that we are having bonus days from now till August 3rd. For every $50 that you spend, you get a $5 coupon. Yay! And you can redeem that in August. So that's a great deal. As well, if you're going to be buying some stamping stuff, you might as well get something for it. So it's always nice to have a little extra. So just wanted to let you know that that's going on. So now I'm going to flip the camera over. I'm going to learn how to make this card, and I'm going to initially show you how to do this watercolor technique, and then also think about other ways that you can use it with your other stamp sets. So, all right, I am going to move over, and we'll show you the card and how to make it. Hi. So this is what I just spoke about was the bonus days. You earn it from July 1st to August 3rd. You redeem August 4th to August 31st. And I am trying to see if I can also get my screen up here. So in case I see comments or I see people who might join me here while I'm doing that, it's always nice to be talking to some actual live people. So it seems to be taking its time, or nobody's joined, but maybe you can watch it later. All right, so to make this wonderful card, I just wanted to show you first the products that we used. That were used in this set. So Rooted in Nature carried over into this catalog again. So it's been around for a while, and it's a great set for general everyday use just because of all the nature pieces that it has in it. It's a two-piece stamp set. So it has a lot of different trees, and I love the veined leaves that they have in here, plus some wonderful sayings. Be strong, be happy, be you, just for you. You are wonderful, thinking of you. And I also love this little leaf in the set that has a really nice picture of the veins on the leaves. And then this wonderful is a great centerpiece is this cutout log, right? If you we're looking at it after it's been cut. So wonderful set. I'm so glad it carried over because I'm still not done with it. So we used that as well as the coordinating dies, which cut out most of the trees. The log does not get cut out, but this big tree here does have a cutout. These leaves have a cutout, and we'll be using this one in today's project. I love this sweet little branch. And then these leaves also cut out, and it cuts out two at a time. I don't know if you can see that. So anyway, so you might be familiar with it since it's been around for, this is the second year, I think, full year that's been in the annual catalog. So we're using those products, and then we're also going to use our layering ovals. We're going to use the largest scalloped, and then we're also going to use the stitched shapes, and we're going to use the largest oval to go on top of that scallop. So those are the key products that we're using today in today's card. And I will show you, just here are the basics to the card. You're going to take a piece of crumb cake cardstock, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4 on the 8.5 side. So that's the base of our card. Then you're going to layer that with a piece of mossy meadow, and that is 5 1/4 by 4. And you're going to be layering that right on top of your base. And then you're going to do another cut of crumb cake, which is 3.75 times by 5 inches. So, all right, so we'll be layering those together. And but before we do that, these two are going to go together. So let me just put those on right now. And we don't have to circle back to those. I'm going to go ahead and just layer this piece onto our base. That's an easy step. Layering is easy. I love layering. I love the look of layering. And a lot of my cards have layers on them. And so there we go. We've got that main piece on, but you'll notice this piece of crumb cake, we're actually going to be using the Woodlands embossing folder, and we're going to create some color on that before we run it through the embossing machine so that you can get some of that variegated color and see some of that wood grain. So how we do that is we actually take our wood grain folder, and on the side that says Stampin' Up! And Sizzix. Oh, and you notice here, I also label all my embossing folders in terms of what plates I use on my big shot so that I don't have to kind of fumble through and figure it out the hard way by trial and error. So I always label my plates with which kind of sandwich do you need to make, and this one fits on the base with one clear plate. So anyway, so now it's very easy. I'm actually just going to ink this up so you can see how it's done. But you just ink that side of the embossing folder, and you just take your ink pad. This is crumb cake, and I'm just going to apply it just lightly, because I don't want to press too hard and get it all the way down to the first level. I just want to get the raised surfaces inked like that, like so. So now that we've got that piece done, you're just going to lay your piece of cardstock inside the embossing folder, close it up, and then run it through your embossing machine. And just to save time, I have pre-done it. And so here is our next layer. Our next layer is this beautiful wood grain piece that we created using that embossing folder. I love this technique. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to adhere that to the front of the card. And so now we've got that all centered. And so now the rest of our pieces just need to come together. We're going to do 2 leaves. So I did get those die cut and stamped. And so those are going to go here. And those were done in espresso brown. These particular ones, I think they were done. This is a well-inked espresso brown, and this is a drier espresso brown. So what you'll find when you're working with your stamps, and if they have some fine detail or they're one of the distinctive, sometimes it's better not to have a real juicy ink pad. The image comes out so much clearer. But anyway, this is still going to look beautiful. So we have, we're saving the best to last. Did you notice that? We're saving the watercolor technique till last. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stamp up the sentiment. Let's see. I'll move this up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and stamp up the sentiment with You Are Wonderful. And that is also from the Rooted in Nature set. And I'm going to stamp it to one side. I'm going to hold it there just a little bit because I really want that ink to transfer on there. And there you go. It's all done. And then I'm going to use our corner punch. Forgot the name of the punch. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? I'm so glad you could join me. I don't know if you remember the name of this punch, but the way I usually like to do it is I like to center it underneath. Oop, my little thing came undone. I like to center it underneath and make sure that everything looks good, because on this particular piece, it's at 1 1/4. This little strip is 1 1/4 by 4 inches, and then I just trimmed it down, and that looks about right. So that'll be our bottom saying, and I did put that on. We'll be putting that on with dimensionals, and I'm going to put that on after I get my pieces up here. Okay, so the next step is the fun part, is the layering ovals. This will go up on dimensionals. I put dimensionals on the back of the scallop. And so the piece that we have remaining is the tree, and how we made this look like it was watercolored on. So I'm going to move some of this out of the way because we are going to use a little bit of water. And so I've got my stamp ready, and we have Mossy Meadow is the color that I used on this stamp. So I'm just going to ink it up. And I do like on bigger stamps, and this is kind of a medium stamp, but does get a really nice inked image when you actually have this, the stamp sitting up and then applying the ink to the stamp. So now I'm going to take my little spritzer, and I just have this little spritzer, and it just has water in it. That's all we're going to do. And I have a piece of watercolor paper that I had pre-cut out using that stitched oval. And so all I'm going to do right now is just spray this a couple times so I can see the ink kind of move. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's ready to go. And I'm going to transfer this water image right onto the watercolor paper. I'm going to hold it down there for just a few seconds, let some of that ink transfer. And when it's done, it looks really interesting. And when it dries, some of this ink will spread out, but every tree will come out a little bit different depending on how much you spray, depending on where the ink was laying. And so normally the tree looks like this. It's got a lot of detail to it, and it's a beautiful tree. So nice evergreen. And then yet when you do this, it gives it this watercolor look, which I really like as well. So so I'm going to let that dry. I could get my heater out, but and heat gun out and dry that, but I'm just going to let it sit until it does dry. So hopefully you can begin to see how this card goes together. I'm going to have this up on dimensionals, and we could probably do that. Apply this to the card. And then we'll put our two leaves next to it, and we'll be all ready to put that one piece on when it's ready to go. So I've kind of put that up toward the center. And then I've got these two leaves, and these are the stems. And so I just put dimensionals at the bottom of those because then they'll stand up a little bit and they won't get crushed down. So I'm going to put those on the front of the card, just kind of angled together like this. And then somewhere in here, I have my little bow. I can't find it, but it's our linen thread. It's our linen thread, and I just took about 8 inches. I took 2 pieces of it and tied it in a knot, and then just put a glue dot on the front to adhere it to the card. Now, when this dries, the only other element I did for this card was to go ahead and sponge the edges. So you might be able to see that in the finished card. There's a little bit of crumb cake ink, and I took one of my sponge daubers, and I think I can do this without ruining my image. So I just took one of these, sponge daubers and just went around the edge to give it just a little bit of more of a natural look and a little bit softer look on the edges. So that's all I did. And so when he dries, he'll be ready to apply to the card. So he or she, I don't know, he or she tree, I'm not sure. So anyway, that's going to go right there. And I'm just going to keep that there until it dries. And you can already see that some of that ink has already absorbed. I love the variation of color that it gives you. And I probably could never paint that myself. So I like these nice little tricks that teach me how I can do watercolor without actually having to use a brush and freeform it. As a matter of fact, I thought, well, let's try that on a couple on another stamp set of mine, another favorite of mine, and that's the Inspiring Iris. So this is the Inspiring Iris, and I love irises, and I thought I would love a watercolor iris. So what I did is I took this stamp right here and this stamp right here, and I did it in 2 different colors on watercolor paper. So I did the green first, and then I did the purple in Gorgeous Grape. So now that it's dried, I might want to apply a little bit of yellow to the centers of those. So it looks like one of those Siberian irises. So anyway, think about your stamps and what you can do with them. They all have to have a little bit of a solid base, right? So that, there's ink to apply and ink to spread, I guess. And these are fairly thin, but they came out really, really nice too. So anyway, so that's, I just wanted to show you that. If you haven't tried that technique, you should. It's so easy and gives your card that watercolor look. That that professional artiste look. So let's see, I think that's all I had for today. I'm going to flip over because I did want to just mention that I do have let's see here, I think it's over here. I do have a class coming up. It's going to be using the Memories and More pack, which is our new in colors, and there's 10 cards in that pack, so you're going to get 10 cards, and we're going to use all new products. We're going to use the Forever Fern, we're going to use the Prize Peony, we're going to use a Jar of Flowers, possible the Sunflower, and Birds and Branches. So you get two of every card, and they'll all be, 5 different designs. So that's coming up in July. That's a class to go. And so that you have to sign up by the 19th of July so that I can get the materials mailed out to you. But it should be fun. But our virtual sessions are July 23rd, 24th, and 25th. So anyway, that's all I had. So I hope you're enjoying your summer. I hope you guys all had a great 4th. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. And have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.